State sweep by the DEA leads to the arrest of 51 people with ties to a Mexican drug cartel.
WLKY's Addie Miner spoke with investigators about this operation spanning Kentucky, Tennessee, and West Virginia and explains the significance.
51 people in Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee were arrested.
The calm atmosphere of Kentucky's countryside was suddenly disrupted as federal teams moved quietly before sunrise. Officers entered areas in Louisville, Lexington, and Charleston at the same moment, acting with precision and planning. Multiple agencies worked together in a joint, three-state enforcement operation across Kentucky, Tennessee, and West Virginia. By morning, authorities confirmed that 51 individuals had been detained, all linked to a large-scale network that had quietly expanded into small American towns.
133 firearms, $78,000 in cash, and nearly 9,000 pills were all seized as a part of this three-state drug bust. And the DEA says it all has ties to the Sinaloa Mexican cartel.
What officers discovered showed how extensive the operation was. Inside buildings and residences, authorities located over 100 controlled items, thousands of imitation medical tablets, and more than 50 kilograms of restricted prohibited substances. Tables held neatly arranged U.S. currency totaling $78,000, believed to be prepared for illegal transport. Each search location revealed organized systems, coded records, transaction logs, and digital payment trails.
A lot of people think that activity stops at the southwest border, but the drugs that the Sinaloa Cartel is producing makes its way across the country, and our three states are certainly not immune to that.
In fact,
the Louisville Field Division directed the mission, working closely with state police, local departments, and prosecutors across several counties. Officials described it as a targeted effort to dismantle a hidden distribution network operating in small towns where public health concerns were rising. For months, investigators traced a quiet supply route stretching from outside the U.S. border through Tennessee into rural Kentucky communities. When the final order was given, hundreds of personnel moved at the same time across 3 states. Authorities stated that the effort shut down a full logistics chain that used storefronts and transportation companies as cover.
You know, they profit on the backs of the families that have lost loved ones throughout our communities. So it's a significant risk.
this bust alone stopped more than 50
But the chain of events that led to this major action began more than a year earlier with an incident in Louisville. In February 2024, officers responded to reports of gunfire on Linden Avenue in the city's Jacobs neighborhood. One person was found injured. What first appeared to be a routine case guided authorities toward a location secretly used for storing unlawful items. Inside, they found equipment, currency, and records written in Spanish. 4 individuals were taken into custody on site: Josie Hernandez Munoz, Josie Lara Munoz, Juan Morales Serna, and Victor Munoz Lara. A detailed search that followed uncovered a hidden collection of 43 items, including advanced long-range devices. 2 of those items were later linked through analysis to earlier serious incidents from 2022 and 2021. The location was revealed to be one of several points used to hold and move controlled substances arriving from outside the country. Each shipment came through specially modified vehicles with secret compartments designed to transport products north and funds south.
The arrests that we made run the gamut from somebody that's selling drugs on a corner, maybe in a more rural part of our region, to somebody that's in charge of bringing those drugs from, let's say, a hub.
Between June and August 2024, multiple deliveries moved through this method, traveling along highways at night and stopping in parking areas by morning. When the supplies reached Louisville, they were separated and passed on to local handlers for neighborhood-level distribution. Authorities later secured 3 vehicles used for these trips. Inside hidden areas, they discovered wrapped bundles of currency tagged for return to organizers outside the United States. This confirmed a full 2-way circulation system operating through Kentucky. The local investigation soon joined a larger federal mission already in progress. By late 2024, the DEA's Louisville division had gathered intelligence linking the same network to activities in Tennessee and West Virginia. Early 2025 saw coordinated actions across Lexington, Bowling Green, Charleston, and Knoxville, supported by ICE and ATF tactical teams. Units targeted warehouses, garages.
Moses Howe's shooting more than a year ago led local and federal investigators to a stash linked to the cartel.
Among the 51 individuals identified were neighborhood-level distributors, regional coordinators, and logistics planners who arranged transport using freight companies that appeared legitimate. These were not isolated participants. They were part of a structured network with efficiency similar to formal delivery systems. Investigators reported discovering organized spreadsheets showing route codes, quantities, and driver initials, demonstrating a clear chain of command. Special Agent Jim Scott, who led the effort, stated that most of the region's illegal substance movement could be traced to just two major organizations operating internationally. This, he explained, shows how deeply outside groups have influenced U.S. markets. What once was small-scale local activity has evolved into a business-style extension of
95% of the drugs in our area come from the Sinaloa and Jalisco Mexican cartels.
And those drugs.
The recoveries showed a level of preparation and equipment rarely seen outside border regions. Long-range devices, protective gear, upgraded handheld units, and large capacity carriers were found in several homes. Images shared by federal officials displayed walls lined with advanced equipment and currency sealed in evidence bags. Sources confirmed some items had been modified for enhanced capability, suggesting specialized enforcement groups were operating far from their home base. Each location searched revealed another part of the picture, how this network adapted to the landscape of America's interior. Country roads replaced desert paths. Pickup trucks replaced boats. Local users replaced border area customers. The substances moved quietly through towns that never expected outside criminal groups to reach this far.
3 firearms were seized, some of which were AR-15s, and 2 were linked back to a 2022 homicide and a 2021 officer-involved shooting, along with
Kentucky's peaceful scenery hides one of the most affected dependency corridors in the country. Behind calm streets, roughly 2.5% of people aged 12 and older struggle with serious substance dependence, among the highest rates nationwide. From Louisville to Pikeville, one pattern repeats: rising reliance, emergency cases, and families trying to hold on. For international traffickers, this isn't simply a crisis, they treat it like a business opportunity born from vulnerability. The statistics show the harsh reality: approximately 2,235 fatal cases in 2022, 1,984 in 2023, and 1,410 in 2024. The slight decline does not signal recovery. It reflects increased use of life-saving medication capable of reversing overdoses in seconds. Emergency teams now carry it everywhere from schools to gas stations. Yet dependency remains. For each life saved, more synthetic substances attempt to enter the supply chain. The cycle has created steady profit for traffickers.
Guns, drugs, and money moving in and out of Louisville into the hands of the Mexican cartel.
Kentucky is especially exposed because the substances themselves have changed. Certain stimulants now reach purity levels above 95%. Cannabis products on the streets test far stronger than previous decades. These aren't improvised mixes. They are engineered in large-scale facilities outside the country for stronger effect and lower production cost. Each new variant pulls users in faster. Sellers don't just focus on long-term users. They also target people trying a pill for studying or energy, unaware of the risk. Federal officials call this both a public safety and national security issue. After the 51 arrests, Special Agent Jim Scott explained this operation was only the first phase. More actions are coming as digital experts trace financial trails, cryptocurrency transfers, and encrypted messages. The goal now extends beyond stopping transport.
And he believes more arrests are on the way.
So if we're doing our job right, we're going after those, the biggest fish that we can find in our pond, and we're working those cases up and out, trying to connect the dots.
Experts within national enforcement and security agencies agree that synthetic substances are spreading faster, becoming less expensive, and increasing in strength. Criminal organizations no longer rely on older transport methods. They now adapt to online marketplaces and private delivery channels that resemble legitimate shipping systems. What once took months to move can now be transported in days. Everyday postal routes and delivery companies have been used without their knowledge as part of a new system. Each time authorities shut down one pathway, a new one quietly opens deeper inside the country. In response, federal agencies including the DEA, ICE, and the Department of Justice are forming a permanent joint task force combining intelligence units, digital finance tracking, and cybercrime divisions. Their goal is to monitor internal transport routes and cryptocurrency channels in real time.
These drugs are becoming more and more deadly, more and more potent, more and more dangerous, and they're becoming easier, faster, and cheaper to obtain. Not only do
Agents say the strategy has shifted. The border is no longer the only defensive line. Instead of confronting southern checkpoints, criminal networks are redirecting traffic through smaller, quiet routes, Kentucky highways, rural West Virginia backroads, and Tennessee freight corridors. These paths blend in with everyday travel, delivering illegal products through regions that rarely receive federal attention. Their advantage is not force, but invisibility. The results of the Kentucky operation are already evident. Roughly 9,000 counterfeit pills and around 50 kilograms of substances will never reach vulnerable communities, places where every overdose represents a family tragedy. Hospitals reported a small drop in emergency calls shortly after the arrests, though experts caution it may be temporary. Still, each shipment intercepted equals thousands of protected lives. The scope of influence tied to the Sinaloa network is now clear across the interior of the United States. For years, attention centered on border towns and coastal entry points. This operation proved the same supply chains continue thousands of miles inland. From Louisville to rural Appalachia, affiliated distributors maintained similar logistics, branding, and synthetic products once associated mainly with border states. The American interior is now firmly on the map for these groups.
Not only do you have to focus on the southwest border, but you've got to focus on all the other avenues that they're using to bring these drugs into the country.
Addie Minor.
Officials note that as law enforcement advances, so do criminal networks. They now rely on software developers, encrypted platforms, and digital couriers. The next battlefront isn't limited to checkpoints or physical barriers, it is digital. Encrypted messaging, concealment vehicles with signal blocking tools, and computer-generated online identities are already in use. Each new tactic requires agencies to adapt just as quickly. For Kentucky, this moment is not a conclusion, it's a signal. The operation revealed what happens when local vulnerability meets global criminal enterprise. The flow of illegal substances no longer stops at borders, and enforcement cannot either. Every town connected by highway or digital payment system is now part of the fight. Agents describe it as protecting the heartland, and after the discoveries in Louisville, that effort has clearly started.